Your hometown station.
Good afternoon. I'm Tamara Gurney, President and CEO of Mission Valley Bank. We're a community-based business bank with locations here in Santa Clarita and in the San Fernando Valley. I'm here with my Chief Credit Officer, Daniel Epstein, and we're here to talk to you about the programs under the CARES Act, in particular the Paycheck Protection Program as well as the EIDL program, and answer your questions as they come in. I also am joined out in the hallway, being very expertly socially distanced or physically distanced, however we now say that, by my associate Stephen Nunez, who is a relationship manager in our Centerpoint office, and Rachel Carillo, who is also located in the Centerpoint office. They're going to help us field questions as they come in and bring them to us, and hopefully we can answer the questions that are on your mind. Most of you know that the program exhausted its original round of funding with $350 billion last Wednesday, and Congress has been in discussions about appropriating more funds. They're talking about another $300 billion, and those discussions are ongoing. There had been hope that it would be approved and ready to go by tomorrow. It's looking like the Senate may get it Thursday, possibly Friday, and vote on it, and then it has to be signed at the White House. So anybody's guess, maybe Monday. If they can get it done sooner, then I'm sure they will. But it's a challenge to get that all of the new language, et cetera, moving back and forth and getting all the votes in has been a challenge for them. So all of you who did not get money and funding in the first round, I know we've been hearing from many of you anxiously awaiting the new program to open up. And we did this about a week ago on Facebook and answered some of the preliminary questions people were asking, which were mostly on the front end about how to get funding, how do you qualify, how do you do the calculation. I'm presuming that there will be a number of questions this time for those of you who have been funded or approved and are awaiting the monies to get into your account, that you'll be wanting to ask some questions about forgiveness, which we don't have final regulations and guidance on at this point. So we'll do our best with what we know, what's been issued to this point, to try to answer those questions. So a little bit about Mission Valley Bank. We started in July of 2001. So we're a little over 19 years old now, had a branch out here since 2004. And I said we're a community-based business bank. Our specialization is small business lending, small businesses with any type of lending needs that they require, from equipment lending to accounts receivable and that kind of thing. We do a lot of commercial real estate and SBA loans. So this new program was in our wheelhouse. We are a preferred lender through SBA, so we were ready to go when the program opened up and already had the staffing and the knowledge of how to navigate the program. And our bank, and I'll let Daniel get into this a little bit later, but we just since April 3rd, through the date that it closed, we received over $40 million in requests for funding, and we got most of those through with numbers, and we are in the process of documenting them and putting the funds in the account so people can start to get their folks back to work. So I don't know if you want to say something before we get into more detail on this.
I will, Tamara, thank you. As Tamara said, there is a benefit towards banking with Mission Valley Bank specifically because as she said, we are an SBA preferred lender. We have already funded over 20 million of that 40 million that she noted, and it's probably over 50 plus loans. And we also expect probably by the end of this week to have funded the full 40 million that we had and that we were able to obtain in the first allocation of PPP. So when I say that, it's, you have the big bank, you have the small bank. The small bank, we're easier for Mission Valley Bank. It's easier for us to move a lot quicker than the larger institutions, and to be able to service our customers a lot faster, a lot more efficiently, especially in times like this. So
yeah, I think that's one of the most consistent comments that we've received from people, is that we've taken the time to go over the application with them, to go over how you calculate your requested loan amounts and those types of things. And it's been really appreciated by people because there's been so much confusion. Mm-hmm. For one thing, I try to emphasize to people, listen to the name of the program. It's Paycheck Protection. The money needs to go to paychecks. This is to keep people employed, keep them on the payroll and working. And so that's the primary focus of it. But the calculation allows you to take, initially we were looking at all of 2019, assuming your business was open for business all of those months. You take your 2019 payroll and divide it by 12 to get your average monthly payroll amount. And then you would multiply that times 2.5. So some of the confusion, and a tip for you guys is, if you're applying in the next round, is that you take your average monthly payroll, and that's the amount that you can apply for. The 2.5 times allows you to make 8 weeks of payroll, or 2 months, once you get funding, and then it gives you that extra percentage of the half times is allowing you to use it for other covered expenses such as rent, utilities, mortgage interest. And that's really important for people to know, because a lot of homeowners and even commercial people that own commercial office buildings have received an interest, a principal deferment on that loan. And so you're allowed to make mortgage interest, not mortgage principal, with those funds. But a really important point that people need to understand is that 75% is the minimum allowable to be spent under PPP through for payroll expenses. 25% is the absolute maximum on all those other approvable expenses. So we've had some people that have taken their average monthly payroll and they've added in their rent and their utilities, and made the number that they're requesting bigger, and that's not acceptable. So that's why we've spent a lot of time with people helping them with the calculation, so that at the back end, when we start talking about forgiveness, that they will not end up with a loan that's not forgivable. So this program is much like real estate. Your real estate agents will tell you it's location, location, location that gives you value. In this program, it's documentation, documentation, documentation. You have to have your records. And maybe you could speak to some of what those records are that people need.
I will. It's very well said again, Tamara. And to take a piece away from that, when you bank with Mission Valley Bank, excuse me, I don't have much of a voice left after the last 3 weeks. As she alluded to, you're getting a live voice on the phone. You're not getting a 1-800 number. You're actually getting your banker who has a vested interest in helping keep your business alive through these times and still trying to thrive and survive. The documentation piece is important, that you have good payroll records if you use a third-party provider, or you keep your federal records, the 941s and the W-3s. Those documents are acceptable. We can't accept an Excel spreadsheet from a borrower, and we need those federal documents or the third-party payroll processor document. With respect to healthcare premiums paid by the employer, retirement premiums paid by the employer, you can give us the spreadsheet, the accounting software page, but please, we need the invoices behind that. We are, because of the fact that we are, as you can see, an SBA preferred lender and have always done SBA financing, we have a very, very good understanding of what documents are necessary for you to apply and what documents are necessary for you to be able to achieve the forgiveness. I say that, and I really want to emphasize that part, because some of what we have gone through in the last couple weeks is we'll get a call and it's, hey, well, Bank A says it should be this way, or my CPA says it should be this way, or my advisor says it should be this way. Those entities, if you're banking with Mission Valley Bank, those entities don't have skin in the game, as we say. We do have skin in the game. We're the one making the loan to you out of our liquidity, out of our capital. So our advice or our interpretation of the SBA program should hold a lot more weight when you're making that decision. And like Tamara said, we'll walk you through the calculation. You're not going to get a 1-800 number. You're going to get your Mission Valley Bank banker on the phone.
I think that's a really important point for helping people navigate this, because there is so much confusion. The guidance, when the program kicked off on April the 3rd, the interim final guidance was issued the night before, on the 2nd, after business hours. So we were trying to follow that, trying to get up to speed on that, and by Monday morning there was new guidance. And for example, initially independent contractors were allowed in with the first pass. They carved them out. So we had people applying that were adding in the 1099s information into their request. We had to redo those completely, pull them out, and have the independent contractors had to apply separately. And like sole proprietors and self-employed, they had to wait until April 10th. So they were very close to the fund running out by the time they were able to even apply.
Right.
And for those, it's very different. So for a self-employed individual where there's just that person, they have to take that Schedule 1, line 31, net income. Their net income is that number. So that's the annual number, divide by 12, multiply,
Right.
and put that in with your documentation. But you could be self-employed with, one or two employees. And in that case, I think there's other line items on that Schedule C that you would add back payroll expenses
Right.
to include them in that net income to be able to pay those people as well as yourself.
Right. That is correct. Spending a couple more minutes on the forgiveness piece, the guidance gives you what you can spend the money on. In the 75-25% formula is very important, as Tamara said. A minimum of 75% of the funds need to go to payroll and payroll-related costs. Healthcare premiums, retirement, employer-paid retirement premiums are included in that. And then a maximum of 25% to the non-payroll costs. So you're a Mission Valley Bank customer or you're a future Mission Valley Bank customer, you could set up an Excel spreadsheet for each week and break it out by that. Set that formula in there and break out your payroll, interest and mortgage obligations, utilities, rent, and set a line item for that. Calculate in so that you know you're staying in that 75-25, and it'll be a good tracking mechanism for you to use when you go to apply at the end of the 8 weeks, when your lender, when Mission Valley Bank goes to apply for your forgiveness. You will have that spreadsheet. It will put some of the discipline into you that you already have, so to be able to keep the necessary paperwork, which is part of the paperwork we asked you for out of the gate, to be able to calculate everything. So it sets that, it flows through. The same documents that you gave us are basically going to be the same documents that you're going to be using for forgiveness.
Yeah, I think that's, I think I'm getting a question here. Can you?
I can get closer, but I have to stand up.
Ask us on Facebook. Oh, sorry. I'm new to this. Radio's not my thing. But anybody out there that has questions, we're live on Facebook, and you can please go ask those through the Facebook website, both Mission Valley Bank or KHTS Newsroom. So please, we'd welcome your questions because we really want this to be useful for you and not just repeating a lot of the same information that you've heard over and over again. I think, to kind of move forward to the forgiveness piece, you make a really good point. We've actually encouraged people to open a separate account to have the PPP funds deposited into so that it's easier for them to track. So it's not going to be commingled with other kinds of uses of money that are from your general operating fund. But at the very least, as soon as you make one withdrawal from your account of those PPP funds to pay for payroll or any other approvable expense, please have that document associated with that expense and take a picture and put it together, put it in a folder. The day that you spend all the money, you'll have what you need to come to the bank and ask for forgiveness, and you should be well documented and comfortable that you'll get the full loan forgiven. And that's a really important point in terms of the forgiveness piece.
And please, we have a screen in front of us, and we're not seeing any questions come in. We would love to hear what the business owners and the public want to have answered. We can talk forever, even with losing our voices. The other part of the forgiveness piece too is, and we're getting these questions asked of other bankers, is that when you get the money, your employee salaries and the employee headcount at that time need to remain the same during those 8 weeks. What does that mean? It means you can add employees, but you cannot subtract. It means you could maybe give them a raise, but you cannot cut their wages at all through that 8-week period. If you do that, the forgiveness piece will go into jeopardy. So.
Yeah, that's important. And another tip for people that are getting ready to apply this next round, most everyone, because of the guidance that originally came out, was using all of 2019, assuming they were in business the full year, and dividing by 12 to come up with their average. Unfortunately, there are businesses, or fortunately for them, that their payroll changed significantly in the first 3 months of the year. So maybe they added people got raises, you know, their business was growing and they added people, and then this virus stopped everything. You want to then take your first 3 months and use that as to come up with your average payroll cost, because that will allow you to apply for more money. And the hope is then, or what's really required is that you then can bring those people back on payroll. They're going to be looking at payroll expenses as well as headcount. So to your point too, you can reduce salary by 20%. You can't go to 24. Did they take
that out? It literally, and we have a question from Teresa.
Okay.
So Teresa, to answer your question, you're an independent contractor with the Schedule C. You haven't filed 2019 tax returns. Can I use 2018? That would probably be acceptable, but what would be better would be copies of your bank records for 2019 that show how much you paid, how much you were 1099'd, assuming that you've received those for last year. So the 1099s would work, as well as if you had to use labor for anything else that you didn't do yourself. So if you have bank records in your 1099s for 2019, we can go off of those. If not, I would think that 2018 would be acceptable. That is a very good question, because as we know, we haven't had to, there's been an extension. April 15th was a few days ago.
Right.
Taxes now aren't due till July 15th.
Right.
So great question, Teresa. Thank you.
And it also lets you know how fluid this is, that things are changing in progress, as there are people that already applied, and now it might have been a different story after the guidance had come out, where they might have been able to apply for a little bit more than they did. But it's you know, this is the Wild West. Everybody's making it up as they go along, and a lot of, you know, very competent, good lawyers and CPAs are trying to answer questions, and it's best guess. It's common sense in most cases, until we can push Congress hard enough and SBA hard enough to get some clearer guidance on some of these key questions that are coming out. Are we good?
So we want to take a second to thank KHTS, to thank
Yes.
Carl and Jerry Goldman for allowing us to come in here and to be a benefit to the community, to the business community, and any individuals in the Santa Clarita area. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Please keep the questions coming.
Hometown station, and we feel like we're the hometown bank, even though you know, there are many banks in this valley and in San Fernando Valley, but we really pride ourselves in being connected to our community and our clients and helping them be successful. So we have even spent time on the phone with individuals who don't bank with us, trying to help them navigate through some of these programs. A big question that's come up, and you probably have some thoughts on this, is the difference between the EIDL program and the PPP. So the EIDL is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. It actually was activated before PPP, and people could apply to that. What the guidance said, and now it may have changed again, but the guidance said that you can apply for that up to the date that the PPP is activated, which would be April the 3rd. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan would provide $10,000 up front, which could be completely forgivable, while they were reviewing your application for additional funding before they approved it. So if you didn't get approved for more than that, the $10,000 was yours, not repayable, and that was great. You could use it on all the same things: payroll, rent, mortgage interest. And then the PPP came along, and so now there's confusion, because if you commingle paying payroll out of both of them, you run the risk that your PPP will not be forgivable.
So we have another question from Steve. Is the money for payroll already paid, or is it for payroll going forward? So the answer to that question, it is for your payroll going forward. You cannot reimburse yourself for payroll that you already paid. So to get into a situation, if you were to be funded today and you have payroll on Friday, you can start using it for that payroll on Friday. But you cannot use it to reimburse the company in any way, shape, or form for the payroll that was paid a week ago or 2 weeks ago, depending on your cycle. It is for the payroll from the day of funding through the next 8 weeks. So another very good question.
Yep.
If we have a couple minutes, I think maybe we're almost into a commercial break, or are we good right now? In the new proposed second, just call it second tranche of second tranche of coronavirus economy stimulation funds, and maybe the Senate has passed since we've been here. There is another, I think, 50 or 60 billion that is going to be earmarked for the EIDL program that Tamara was mentioning. You've probably heard in the press some comments about some business owners saying, hey, the PPP program doesn't fit for me, doesn't fit for my business, doesn't fit for our cash flows. And we touched upon that a little bit a couple weeks ago in our first Facebook Live event. And it still stays true. The EIDL program the cash from the EIDL program, the structure of it, might fit your business model a little bit better than the PPP model. The terms can be anywhere from about 10 to 30 years. Yes, there is collateral. Yes, there generally is a personal guarantee. The money's more expensive. It's not forgivable. However, you don't have that 8-week period where you have to where you're sort of in a position where you need to use that money. You can use it for, and then also the uses of the EIDL can be for payroll, can be for working capital, can be to restock your inventory or something like that, or so you have a little bit more flexibility with that than you do with the PPP.
Yeah, I think one condition though too, Daniel, is that if you received EIDL funding and you use all of it for payroll, you must refinance it through PPP if you're going to apply for the PPP.
Correct.
So then you have a potential that some of your EIDL money can be forgivable as it's refinanced out by the PPP program.
Right.
Right.
Then that is correct. You can also, although we really don't advise the following, you can apply for both loans, but there is going to be an extra burden on the borrower to prove out the use of both funds, of both loans. And it goes back to what Tamara just said. The $10,000 checks go out right away. They're not forgivable. They can be used for payroll, but they're added into the PPP number. They're not forgivable. If you use the full EIDL loan and take that down and then take the PPP loan, there's going to be an extra burden on you. And as we noted in our last broadcast, the burden's going to lie on you to keep good documentation. The SBA is putting a lot of this on to the borrower, the burden of proof versus the bank this time.
Okay. Yeah. I think we'll take a break now and come back and try to answer a few more questions that are coming in, and then dig a little deeper into some of the pieces that we were just touching on. Thanks for listening, and thank you to KHTS, and Mission Valley Bank is really pleased to be here and have this opportunity to help.
Marston's Restaurant has been a Pasadena landmark, voted the best breakfast in California by the Food Network magazine. Discover Marston's Santa Clarita location, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Marston's also has a fantastic catering menu that adds a delicious twist to any event. And they cater picnic dinners for that memorable romantic date. Experience Marston's on Newhall Ranch Road and McBean, or log on to marstonsrestaurant.com.
There's a very good reason Embrace Your Smile has been voted Santa Clarita's #1 orthodontist for 10 years in a row.
Honestly, it's our team.
Dr. Megan LeCornu.
I think for me, what makes it stand out is when I have patients that come up to me and say, we have never been in a doctor's office that feels like this. Our team is a family, and we really get along, and we are really passionate about what we do, helping our patients get the smiles they want and deserve.
Dr. Megan LeCornu of Embrace Your Smile Orthodontics.
Embrace your smile.
EmbraceYourSmile.com.
As the stay-at-home order continues through the month of April, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
Our trash has got to go somewhere, and Chiquita Canyon Landfill is helping make the Santa Clarita Valley a little greener. Our local landfill creates clean energy from our waste disposal to power 10,000 homes each year. With their 9.2 megawatt clean energy facility harnessing the landfill's methane gas, you can feel good that the waste from your home in the SCV is helping create a clean energy source. Chiquita Canyon Landfill is our partner in sustainable living.
Chiquita Canyon is helping lead the way to a greener future.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
As the stay-at-home order continues through the month of April, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
Mission Valley Bank is a commercial bank in the Santa Clarita Valley that really puts the community into community banking.
At Mission Valley Bank, we strive to be a trusted advisor to our clients, and that means being an integral part of the communities we serve. We started the Give Where You Live program to help bring awareness to our nonprofit partners. We're more than just a local business bank. In fact, we're a full-service, independent commercial bank that is locally owned, community-minded, and relationship-driven. I'm Tamara Gurney, President and CEO of Mission Valley Bank, and I invite you to experience the Mission Valley Bank difference, where your success is our mission. We want to be your most valued bank.
Mission Valley Bank has been named Most Trusted Advisor Business Banker by the San Fernando Valley Business Journal 5 years in a row, and received the Business Leadership Award by the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce, Valley Industry Association, and SCV Economic Development Corporation. Visit them at their Centerpoint branch location or at missionvalleybank.com. Member FDIC.
You could be launching your rewarding career with one of Santa Clarita's leading defense contractors, FMI Aerostructures. Imagine creating critical airplane fighter components for our nation's defense. Be on the cutting edge of advanced technologies and get the skills needed to make our defense your career. We offer career paths for beginners and professionals. FMI Aerostructures, one of Santa Clarita's largest employers since 1978.
Find out about our 4-credit mentorship programs through College of the Canyons and the William S. Hart High School District. Visit fmiscv.com.
Got Plumbing, it's Eric.
Son, it's Mother. I was thinking, son. Wait a minute. Cut, son. I'm coming into your sound booth.
Mom, what are you doing?
I don't think we need a commercial. I want to let everyone know that we're open for all the usual services, but that we also care about what's going on.
You know, you're right. There's doctors and nurses out there I want to thank, along with the police and the firemen.
And as a mother, I want to remind parents to teach their kids to wash their hands more often and use plenty of soap.
Even our plumbers are using extra safety devices like gloves, booties, and use disinfectant on all the surfaces they touch. And you know, that's a good idea for anyone interacting with the public right now.
I just want us all to stay safe and healthy. And that they can call us for anything they need right now.
That's why I love you, Mom. You think about our customers first. Give me a hug.
Son, social distancing.
CottonPlumbing.com. Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
I'm Matt Denny, CPA, with Denny & Company, LLP, your hometown CPAs. The coronavirus and the new stay-at-home orders have changed our lives significantly. On behalf of KHTS 98.1 FM and AM 1220 and HometownStation.com, here are some tips to help you with anxiety you may have about your income tax returns for 2019. First, the deadlines for filing both state and federal returns have been extended to July 15th. It's probably a good idea to file a federal extension anyhow by April 15th. Both the state and the feds are also extending the time for making 2019 tax payments otherwise due without interest or penalty to July 15th. This includes making your first estimated tax payments for 2020. These details keep changing, so contact us at 661-286-8860 or see our website at dennyllp.com. Thanks, and stay healthy.
Your hometown station.
I love the music, and I always tune in when there's an emergency in Santa Clarita.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back to K-Hits, the Mission Valley Bank Facebook Live event. Thank you very much for all of your questions that have been coming in. I want to take a few seconds and introduce one of our star relationship managers here in our Centerpoint office, Mr. Steve Nunez.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again to KHTS for having us. But, you know, I just wanted to give a shout out to our customers. We have the greatest customers. They've been extremely patient throughout this whole process. It's been very difficult on everyone's side. We know that it's nerve-wracking for the business owners. It's nerve-wracking on our side because the whole process is new. We're developing new processes and procedures, and everyone's just been very thankful, been very appreciative. So I just want to thank our customers, and I hope that we can continue to provide the great service to all the other customers that we're still trying to help. We hope that everyone can get the help they need from their banks as well. And so I just wanted to give that shout out and say, you know, it's a work in progress, but we're all doing our best to get everything done.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. We had a couple questions come in during the break. One of them was, when would we, Mission Valley Bank, be able to accept new applications? So I didn't get the chance to check the news to see if the Senate had passed the new package yet. However, once they do, then once it goes to the House and it passes, the President signs it into law, then the SBA will basically give us a green light. And as Tamara said earlier, we're hoping that that's going to come out late this week, early next week, but no later than that. We do have good confidence that it's going to get put through. Another question that, so to go on with that too, though, when that second bucket does come, we still are only going to be able to be in a position to accept applications from our existing customers. So if you want to become a Mission Valley Bank customer at this time, it would be a good time to do so if you want to be able to apply for a PPP loan, say next week or something like that. We were only going to be accepting them for our existing customers. The other question that came in was, what happens if I apply for a loan, Mr. Mrs. Business Person, at more than one bank? So, and that question is really, really good. We have had that quite a few times. What's going to happen is that every one of those banks that you apply to is going to go into the SBA portal, so to speak, the SBA system, to try to pull an SBA loan number. What does the SBA loan number signify? The SBA loan number signifies the approval of your dollar amount. Say it's $100,000. It signifies the approval of that amount and carves it out and saves it. It's like a bookmark in the next funding. Say it's $300 billion. So you have that money locked up. But it becomes a first bank come, first bank served. Whoever gets that loan number pulled first is going to be the one that you're going to need to go to for your loan. So if you apply at Mission Valley Bank, you're one of our customers, and you apply also at Bank of America or JP Morgan Chase, and one of them pulls that number first before we do, which hasn't been happening much. We've been pulling them faster. You're going to need to go there. So please be very cognizant of that it's probably not the best practice to do that. You want to go back to, like I said, you want to go to your Mission Valley banker, you want us to pull your loan number, and then it makes the process a lot easier. We did have quite a few. We had probably a half a dozen customers that they sent it's evident that they sent their applications out elsewhere also, because when we went in to try to pull a number, we got it and the other bank didn't get it. So good question again.
There was a question that came here as well about, are we free to apply anywhere? And the answer to that is yes. The first thing you should do is go on the SBA.gov website. There's a drop-down menu for all the approved lenders in this PPP program. So it isn't just banks. It is other micro lenders and non-bank lenders that have been able to get approved through the SBA to be an approved lender in this program. So you can look at that drop-down screen and search for someone who is local to you, and you can take your application to them. And to your point, you know, there are people that are applying multiple places because everyone is so afraid that the fund ran out of money. It'll probably happen again with this new round. That people will be worried. They will be wanting to get in quickly and get a number assigned to them. And so they'll apply at multiple places. So it's just important to know that the bank, if you've done that, and you try to apply through us, and we go in to the E-Trans system, we could be told that you already have a number and we can't do anything for you. So, I mean, that's not, I don't think it's no harm, no foul, but it does, you know, create some issues for the lenders in terms of slowing down the program.
Correct. Another good point. I think we have another question that came in. Are we from Monique? Are we free to go to any bank and get this PPP program approved? And how long should it take after we submit the paperwork? So for a Mission Valley Bank customer, as Steve Nunez alluded to earlier, because we are a preferred SBA lender, we have a very thorough understanding of their operating procedures, and we're able to interpret and digest all of the guidance they put out on this program. We are now turning around an application in less than 48 hours from when we first calculate the loan amount to when we are actually funding the loan. We've actually done a couple in the exact same day. So that's our process. That's our knowledge that you get if you're a Mission Valley Bank customer. Other banks are doing well too. Other banks we heard, you know, that are trying to adapt to the processes are not necessarily, as Tamara alluded to, they might be a fintech, what you would call a fintech online lender. If they don't have that SBA knowledge, they might, what usually might be a long, fast process for them, might be taking a little longer now. So, but if you are a Mission Valley Bank customer, we expect to be able to turn these loans around in the second batch very quickly.
And just to reiterate, the 10-day window to, the 8-week window, as soon as the funds are in your account, you have 8 days from that day to spend the money. So we're trying to encourage people to be thoughtful, step back and look at their business. There are some businesses, for example, gyms and restaurants and hotels. We don't know when we're going to be open up for business again. And even when some of the restrictions are lifted, I don't really think that people are going to run back to the gym in the same numbers that they did before, or to restaurants if there's still physical or social distancing. Maybe they can only take and seat half or less the number of patrons, and so that's going to mean that they don't need as many staff on hand in order to serve those clients, and they'll have to ramp up their payroll over time. So we're looking at, if you're completely closed down and you take the PPP, you might have employees who are on unemployment right now. And in the example of a gym, many of your general workers in a gym are probably making $55,000 a year or less. They're getting almost 100%, if not 100% of their salary on unemployment. Getting PPP and bringing them back on the payroll takes them off unemployment, and then you pay for 8 weeks and you're not open again, or you're not fully open, fully functional, and you can't bring them all back on. Now they go back on unemployment. So it's kind of, this uncertainty is very unsettling for people, and I know stress and nerves are pretty high all across the board, and so we're just trying to provide as much counsel and guidance to help them make a thoughtful choice. We encourage some people maybe wait a little longer. Maybe the end of April we'll know if some of these restrictions will be lifted, and we'll be able to have a better idea of when we can be back in full business again. And I think that's really important. I know maybe it's disrupted, but I wanted to introduce Rachel Carillo, so I'm going to step out and let her step in because we're trying to be good about staying separated, and introduce her because she's one of our key representatives out here in the Valley that helps our loan clients.
While we do that, we have another question from Monique. So Monique, to answer your question, I'm sorry to hear that your other lender is taking so long. For us to be able to help you, you would need to be able to become a customer of Mission Valley Bank. The way the tough part about the program, the way it's been set up is, in most banks there are banks out there servicing their existing customers, and they're taking on new customers at the same time. I will tell you, some of those banks are struggling with their processes, especially with opening up new accounts and going through all the regulatory know your customer, anti-money laundering, Bank Secrecy Act, all these 3-letter initials that we all have to deal with from a compliance standpoint. So we would love to have your business. Please come to Centerpoint or to Sun Valley, and we can open up an account for you. So we now have in here, as Tamara said, Rachel Carillo. She's another one of our stars in Centerpoint, so the mic is yours, Rachel.
Hi, Daniel. I actually have one question for you to answer. It's from Carrie. After the 8-week period, what documents do they need?
So that's a great question, but before I answer that, introduce yourself a little bit. So that's
I'm
okay.
Rachel Carillo from Mission Valley Bank. And first, I'd like to start all our clients that we've been helping. Thank you for being patient with us and understanding, and especially during this time.
So thank you. So the documents that you're going to need for forgiveness in its simple sense are the following. And I think I alluded it to in the first half hour. The same payroll documents that you gave us to help calculate your number, i.e. the third party, an ADP or Paychecks or a Heartland payroll report for that 8-week period, a copy of your 941 quarterly filing, or those would be the two main documents for the payroll. For the non-payroll related costs, you're going to copy of your rent check, copy of your lease, copy of the check showing that you made that payment, copies of the utility bills showing that you paid those bills. And when I say utilities, cable, internet, and your mobile do not count as utilities. Utilities are water, sewer, trash, gas, and electric. So you'll need the copies of those invoices showing that you paid and showing that you paid them. So it's really the first set of the first documents that we asked you for are really, like I said before, a precursor to what you're going to need for a successful forgiveness package for us to be able to get the SBA to forgive a part of your loan or a full part of your loan. So very good question. Please keep them coming. Otherwise, we might end up having to start talking about sports right now or something like that. I've been known to be able to filibuster even though I have not much of my voice left.
And to chime in real quick, hello everyone listening on the radio or Facebook. My name is Shane. I press the buttons. I'm here adjusting some knobs right now, but you mentioned a few times that in order to get some of these expedited services, they'd have to become a customer of Mission Valley Bank. How do they do that?
It's very simple, Shane, and great question, and thank you for your help today as well, too. It's very simple. Our office at Centerpoint right now, Rachel, we're open from 9 to
2.
9 to 2. We're open to Sun Valley from 9 to 2. We are practicing social distancing. If you want to open up a new account, we have new account packages that we can send you via email that you could also fill in and send us back. We do have I believe, Rachel, what would be a good email address to use if they wanted to get a package from us?
Yes, it would be info@missionvalleybank.com.
So once again, that would be info@missionvalleybank.com. We have a business account package. If you're a sole prop or an independent contractor, that would count. And then we have a consumer package as well too, if that's how you want to go about it. So very good question, Shane.
Yeah, definitely.
Shane's a trooper. He's wearing his Seattle Mariners hat today. You've got to give him big props for that.
I think you mentioned we will have a cross to bear, but we'll talk about sports later.
Later, when we get back to them. Hopefully someday soon. People that I think we've all been in about a month or so now, and we're starting to really want to get back to work. That's what I'm hearing from everyone. So again, we're Mission Valley Bank. We're a community-based business bank headquartered in Sun Valley on Sunland Boulevard, and our office here is on Centerpoint Parkway, Carl Boyer Drive. And you've met two of our key teammates here, and hopefully some of the information that we've provided has been helpful. There is one other piece. There's so much in this program that's going on. The funding is $300 billion for this PPP, and then as Daniel mentioned earlier, there's some carved out for some other programs. But anyone who had an SBA loan prior to this virus situation, if you were current on your loan, then from April through for 6 months, the SBA is going to be making that loan payment to the bank. And so we kind of called around to some of our borrowers that were having some struggles making payments to tell them, hey, try to find a few bucks and make your loan payment, because if you're current, then you get 6 months free. The SBA is making those payments, and they are not adding on to the maturity of the loan. They are completely forgiven. Yeah. So I think that's an important point. That gives a lot of relief to many people.
That's a great point, and I don't want to forget it, but we've got a couple other questions coming in. So another question from Teresa. The easiest answer to your question, Teresa, is that we absolutely are still open for business for other traditional loans. We still can make the traditional SBA 7A loan. We also have, as alluded to earlier, an accounts receivable financing. We have a factoring program as well. We're still open for business. Mission Valley Bank is very well capitalized. We're a strong institution.
And we're really committed to our local community. We do a lot out here in Santa Clarita. We have most of our advertising campaign money goes to Give Where You Live. We support many local charities here. The Boys and Girls Club is among them, off the top of my head, and many others, the Food Pantry. And so we feel as a community bank, it's part of our DNA. It's part of what we should be doing as a responsible corporate citizen, is to promote the nonprofits that are doing good work in their communities and keeping their community a safe and place to live and work and play. So it's really important to us.
Right. So that's a very good point too. And so we had another question from Monique. So if you've already received the $10,000 in the EIDL program and you apply for a PPP, the EIDL amount is basically going to be paid, added on to the PPP amount. And the $10,000 will, if I remember correctly, Tamara, will be forgiven. Yes. Anything over that, though, will not be forgiven. So if you just borrowed the $10,000, it'll get added into the PPP loan. It will be, and it'll be forgiven. Now, so going back, I don't think we have another question right now. Going back to what Tamara was talking about, the 6-month principal and interest payments that are going to be being made on the current existing SBA loans, 7A loans. This is a great time if you're a business owner and you are still generating revenue to start building what we call a storehouse. You don't have to make your loan payment for the next 6 months. So if you are generating revenue and you are current, then you can take that payment, put it aside into a money market fund, take it out of your operating account and put that money aside so that you have it for a rainy day. God bless it, this doesn't ever happen, something like this doesn't ever happen again, but we also don't know that as well too. So it allows you from a 20,000 foot view to set your balance sheet up and to set your company up to be able to survive something like this again down the road, to have a bit of a cushion to lean on. So what they are doing is, the two of us have a lot of years of experience between us in the banking and the financial markets. We've never seen anything like this before. Having that type of storehouse, having that account set off to the side is becoming ever more important right now.
And that speaks to what's our core value of who we are, and that's a trusted advisor. And we encourage our clients to reach out to us directly and sit down with us and go over your financial situation and let us try to help guide you. Before this crisis started, I mean, we would have young businesses that were struggling, startups or in transition businesses that didn't qualify for a core bank loan. They didn't meet the underwriting criteria. But we're able to sit down and help them plan out how to get to a bankable situation. And that's what a true trusted advisor is. It's not a transaction where you come and say, hey, I need $50,000 or $100,000 and the bank makes you the loan. We sit down and we want to plan with you. Where are you trying to go? And how, let's help you navigate how you can get there. We have many stories because we have great teammates like Steve and Rachel that, help their clients, even if we have to send them to a hard money lender or some microloan type of a product. We show them how in 6 months to a year, if they take certain steps, they can come back to the bank. So that's who we are. It's what we do. It's what we're passionate about. And we're really thankful for KHTS for allowing us to be here and share our story and answer some of your questions. And hope we can hear more from you. If we do get some more on our Facebook page, we will answer them even after this program. So.
And just one more thing, we've got 30 seconds. If somebody just tuned in, they missed all of the great information you just gave, what's a phone number they can call to reach out to you guys?
They can reach us at, on our website at missionvalleybank.com. Info at Mission Valley Bank is where we're asking the applications and other inquiries about this program. But our phone number is 818-394-2000. And we're here on Carlborough Drive in Centerpoint and in Sun Valley.
Your home station.